To be clear, this game does feature in-game/in-app purchases. So, I noticed you have the abilities to run, jump, and scream.
Yeah, and?
I didn't think the children part of the title would be so literal.
Your expectations are going to be blown away when you see the other things these so-called children can do.
Sky, Children of the Light is another sublime combination of music and graphics that emphasizes the emptiness of an almost barren, yet somehow beautiful world from the makers of Flow, Flower, and Journey. This free-to-start game with in-app purchases and several confusing currencies will do its best to make you ignore those aspects with its stunning visuals, acutely intoxicating world, and surprisingly immense adventure. But does it do just enough to not only distract you from the in-app purchases, but the urge to play something else? Let's find out.
If you're curious about the world you now inhabit, you can consult these helpful and animated hieroglyphs early on in your adventure. They'll give you the rundown on the story you're taking part in. Apparently, the stars in the sky that make up the constellations have fallen, and it is your job as a child of the light to free the spirits they became so they can once again bring light to the night. The spirits you discover are these blue-hued characters that you chase to release.
Upon catching up to them, a small animated hologram begins to play, depicting the spirits' final moments before they were lost. You'll then imitate the motion they're doing to learn a new emote you can use to interact with other players and receive a single unit of one of the many currencies in this game. The spirit then goes to the end level puzzle area to await your next visit so they can return to the sky. This process repeats throughout each of the 7 areas of the game and can get quite repetitive in these wide, empty, barren areas.
Children of the Light has a rather slippery but condensed control scheme. The reaction time of most of your movements depends on the strength of your internet connection, as this is an always online game. But when you do have stable internet, you can use the left stick to run, the right stick to control the camera and navigate the X button menu, and use A to scream.
To scream?
It's more like singing one note really loud, and you can hold the button to make your scream really loud and send a shockwave outward from your voice. This ability is really only used to get other players' attention and to interact with these Sky Manta things.
Also, the Y button is for interacting with things like candles, altars, in-game messages left via paper boat, and other players, the latter being indicated by these ghostly creatures that will appear on the world, sometimes attempting to interact with you. You can press Y to fill in their ghostly outline, then they can interact with stuff on your plane of existence, collect things, and solve an entire area's worth of puzzles for you without you ever having to lift a finger. While the real end goal of this social part of the game is unclear, we elected to ignore it for the most part.
Sky, Children of the Light is a fascinating game in its emptiness, its way of progression, and while I find it rather boring, empty, and easy to put down for long periods of time, others will find this immersive, interesting, and downright spectacular.
While I adore games with context given specifically through visual cues, this is one where the cues were spread too far. Your travel time between things to do is spent marveling at how much further you have to travel for the most part, only to get lost on these massive maps. It's not a bad game, just a desolate, barren one with a pass system and in-app purchases, no matter how ignorable they are.